In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a 5-hole pamphlet notebook. And this is a kind of notebook that is threaded with just 5 holes and a little bit of thread. So let's get started. The supplies that you will need is a bone folder, a ruler, scissors, some beeswax, wax thread, and I like to use little thread scissors. You'll need a bookbinding needle, some paper, and some cardstock paper. Any cardstock paper will do. You will also need an awl to help you poke your holes. So let's get started. So I have pre-cut my paper to about 5.5 by 8.5 size. So essentially half of a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And I find this is the best size to start off with when you're doing a 5-hole pamphlet. And then you're going to want to have about 10 sheets of blank paper. You can use lined paper if you have some, but starting off with blank paper is the best. And I say 10 sheets because the thicker the paper, the more paper you have, the harder it is to poke the holes. So we're going to start with 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now let's make our holes. So you can do this in a couple ways. You can use a ruler and you can measure out your holes, and typically it's your preference. I like to do about 1/2 inch from the top and then make holes that way. So as an example, here's about 1/2 inch, and then I'll just incrementally do it that way. Or you can use the guide I have provided. So I made this little guide. That way it's easy for beginners. And you can make sure you're in the center and poke your holes, make your holes that way. Okay. You can also, if you're worried about your being centered, you can also fold it in half, just like this, with your bone folder. And then you can go back and recenter, just like this. Okay. And the holes, the little dots that you've made, are where you're going to poke your holes. So with a 5-hole, I'm going to erase these dots that I made. There you go. So with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, I have 6 holes. So that means I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I did not mean to make 6 holes. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to take this hole away. Actually, I should take that hole away. It's already wax, but I always like to wax thread a lot, and it makes it easier to go through the paper. So I'm going to show you what I do. And to determine how much thread you need for a 5-hole pamphlet, sometimes it's best to go like sideways like this. 1, 2, 3, and sometimes 4. I do 4. It could be more or less. It doesn't really matter. And then you take your beeswax and then you just drag your thread along the beeswax, just like this. And it does a nice coating, which will make it easier to pull your thread through paper. Okay. So some nice wax thread. So now here's the fun part. We're doing the thread. So when you thread your needle, you want to have like a little bit of a tail, but not too long, because it will get tangled. And you're going to start in the middle hole. So it's their third. If we're gonna we think of it this way. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to start in the third hole. And we want to drag all of it all the way through. And when we put it through the third hole, we want to leave a little tail like that. Then we're going to go through our second hole. Oops. It's a good thing we have erasers. I'm going to go through like that. And we want to make sure that we don't pull the thread so strong that it takes the thread out from our third hole. Now we're come through our second, and we're going to go in through our first hole. Okay. And then after that, see, we have 1, 2, 3. And if you look on this side, we have 1, 2, 3. We're going to go back through our second hole. And we're not going to go through our third hole. That's actually going to happen last. We're going to skip over 3 and head into 4. So now we're in our fourth hole. And then we're going to go through our fifth hole. Sometimes you have to push a little hard. There we go. Our fifth hole. And we're going to make our way back, go through our fourth hole. So now we have a nice little straight line. And to finish it up, we flip it over and go through back through our third hole at the very end. And we're all done. So now what you're going to want to do is, and this is a preference, I like to kind of tie it around that thread and do a nice little tight knot like this. And this is where our thread scissors come handy, because these can get you a nice close cut. Okay. And then you just fold like that. And now you have your pamphlet. And with 10 pages, you have roughly 20 pages front and back. A nice little pamphlet. And you can do this with any size. You just have to make sure your holes are roughly spread apart. Now, if you're like, I don't really like this extra paper here, you can use a paper cutter, or you can use a X-Acto knife and just kind of cut through. If you don't like this extra paper at the end, you can use a utility knife if you want, and just repeatedly cut the ends like so. Be very careful because these are very sharp. And now you have, get that little extra. There you go. Now you have a perfect little notebook. Thank you for watching my video. There are plenty of different pamphlets you can make. You can make a 5-hole pamphlet, and you can just cut the edges. I use Christmas themed paper. I even made a larger one with about 15 pages, so that was a little bit harder to do, but also a 5-hole pamphlet.